Bullying at its most basic level is a predatory behavior. Its defining characteristic is the persecution of another individual. We often consider bullies to be cowards because they're picking on people who they believe to be weaker than them in some way. And that weakness can be anything from the primal level of physical weakness, size differentiation, but often it is because the one person has a type of advantage over another person, and therefore they can exert that advantage over another person by abusing them. For me, bullying can be quite a complicated issue because often it takes the form of a hybridized form of antisocial behavior. It can be a form of social violence. It can just take the form of a situation where one person feels they've been slighted in some way, disempowered, disrespected, if you like, and therefore they have bitten back against this perceived slight and attack the other person. And when they feel like they have reasserted their position and they've claimed back a degree of status, if you like, they've reclaimed their position in the social order. They're not content with that. They haven't got everything they wanted out of that situation. In fact, they've developed a liking to dominate the other person, and maybe that could be track back to a deep-filled sense of insecurity, if you like, that they see something in that person that they don't like about themselves, that they've been dominated in their life, and then now they will turn that into a form of bullying. So what did start off as a type of rivalry, a type of competition, has now turned into a predator-prey relationship. And this can happen within a romantic relationship where one person feels that the other person is somehow putting them down, therefore they're doing everything they can to ensure that that person doesn't put them down, doesn't put them under the thumb, so to speak, if you like. They overcompensate for that. And now they feel they have to retain this position, which they've decided is going to be a position of dominance. So now immediately we have an asymmetrical situation that had started off as a type of competition or rivalry. Again, this can happen very easily in the workplace where you've got set hierarchies, people in different positions of authority, responsibility, and people with different ambitions. And then that ambition can warp and mutate into something antisocial, which becomes bullying. But it might begin as a type of rivalry. So that's just a very, very brief observation about bullying in general, which I'd like to bring in here because you can think about it more when I just talk about latent bullying. Because latent bullying is something that is not commonly observed by the layperson on average. Whenever we worry about bullying, we worry about it happening early on. So the early stages of a relationship, if you like, we look out for these red flags that are going to happen. We look at early signs of antisocial behaviour in the workplace. You might pick up on these different things, and obviously, clearly it comes in educational establishments, schools and colleges, universities, even. This can happen early on, and it does happen early on. Don't get me wrong. Bullying can happen on day one, and in many cases it really does. But latent bullying is less observed, despite the fact that there is a lot of material to suggest that most bullying happens at the latent stage. So you get a sort of honeymoon period, like you would do in a relationship, in a romantic relationship. That can happen in a workplace, and that can happen in an educational establishment. So initially, there is this early part where everyone's finding their feet, whether you are wrapped up in the excitement of a romantic relationship or your new place of work or whatever needs to be done in a beginning of a new work year, if you like, or a new term at school, or any number of different things where you're beginning the beginning of a project, should I say. So early on, everyone's being polite, everyone's being nice, people going out of the way to being nice, and friendships being born. But then time lets everything settle down and cliques form, if you're looking about large groups of people. But also, certain norms start becoming established between relationships between two people as well. And this bullying starts to raise its head because now it's decided that the person who's going to be antisocial has decided rather. where they want to be and what that means about the person who they're going to target. It's covered in far more detail in an actual lesson in two of my courses, two courses which I co-present and co-created with Mary Stevens of the Athena School of Karate in the Animal Instincts Children's Self-Protection Teaching Program under the BEAR category, which is the 11 to 16-year-old. So that's for people who are learning to become self-protection teachers or wish to include self-protection teaching for children, realistic self-protection teaching for children, and are interested in either the qualification or just to bring those skills to their regular classes. Is available with these online pre-recorded courses. But there's a special parenting version of this course. So this is not for teachers. This is not even for the teenagers themselves, but for parents of teenagers and preteens. We have a whole section, a lengthy section, where we go in depth into latent bullying. So please check those out. But if you're interested in booking me for a course on any subject on self-protection, you can notice that it's quite tailored and bespoke, then please get in contact. And please be safe and be aware out there.